Working with advocates in a sex assault, it's huge. It makes the officers or the investigators or the sheriff or whoever may be doing that investigation, it makes their job that much easier.
Well, sometimes it's hard as a police officer to be everything for everybody, and that's why it's important that we work with the sexual assault advocates, and they bring to the table something a little bit different than what we do, and a lot of times just having them there and able to do the things that they do well kind of frees us up to do the things that we do well.
I want them to have an advocate on scene as soon as possible so that they have that support, because it can be a very intimidating process.
Like a lot of times we'll get someone who comes to the police station to make a report. Well, we'll get the general facts of what happened, and we'll send our survivor to the hospital for a forensic examination. And normally, either during or at some point before they head to the hospital, we'll make that call so that we can have an advocate meet with them at the hospital to accompany them through the process.
Knowing what I know now, I think I would have liked the police department, whether it had been the first officer or the detective, to share with me what services are available to me. I think it would have been helpful had I connected with an advocate.
So they can kind of break the ice for you. Sometimes they get there a little bit before you, and they can go in and say, hey, listen, we're going to be here with you throughout the process. An officer will come in and talk to you. We're going to make sure that we're here with you, whatever we can do to help you.
Advocates are great, especially in many different settings. Number one, they're great to have at the emergency room when you're trying to talk to a victim who's really upset. Sometimes they just need some support. And as a police officer, you really shouldn't be advocating for anybody. So it's nice to have them there, so they have that support. Also, the advocate, especially at the emergency room, you can give them, hey, if she loses my card, this is my card. Make sure she contacts me. But now I want to do the follow-up and I can't get a hold of the victim. I didn't have a good address. If something has been signed between the advocate and the victim, they can tell me where she is. And if they don't, I can say, hey, can you have her call me? I know that she dealt with you guys. Can you please have her call me? I'm trying to do the interview.
The victim during your interview may break down emotionally, and the advocate is there to give them support. We may be compassionate, but it may not appear we're being compassionate because we're asking certain questions that may be hard from the victim's perspective. And that's where the advocate will really be able to help that victim.
If you say one thing wrong, the advocate's going to blame you for something. I mean, that's what when I first started, that's what it was like. Over the years, it's been a huge difference. And with children, it's great to have advocates to help with the parents.
They also work with people with disabilities. I've brought several individuals who have autism, younger kids who have autism or other disabilities, and they are trained to work with them as well.
An advocate from the Sexual Assault Crisis Center called me and let me know that she was there, that the organizations, what they offer.
Victims want to know what's going on with the case. And if you're talking to an advocate, you can let them know, here's where I am in the case.
It's indescribable, the reality of people really believing you. Like, there's just such a mindset that there's just so much doubt. There's just so much doubt, and so having somebody call you and be like, we're here, we understand your situation, and we've got all of these resources to help you get through it.
Instead of the police doing an interview, the DA's office doing an interview, and DHS doing an interview, you combine that all into one. We're part of a multidisciplinary team. We work very well together, and I think that it helps these cases move along much more efficiently, which isn't just good for the case, it's very good for the victims as well.
She sits there and listens to you cry and empathizes with you and educates you along the way of, they tell you this could happen. they're very informative. So you know these kinds of things can happen, but when they do, you still are just, it's still very overwhelming and very emotional. And she was so supportive in all of that. And if I was mad, I'd be like, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't. And just really encouraging.
Not only do we have support from the CAC to the family, we have monthly meetings where the multidisciplinary team gets together and not only talks about the direction of the CAC as a whole, but how are we responding to these cases. And if Waterville had a particular case of interest that had a different twist, we would talk about that particular case. What did we do right? What did we do that maybe we can improve upon? And so the CAC as an entity continues to evolve and get better because we continue to evaluate how we're working together as a multidisciplinary team.
They may look at us as, you're the police, you know, what support are you offering me, or what can you offer me? And they're right, unfortunately. We're there as looking at the potential of prosecuting someone, and that may be our drive, but we also have to consider that person also may need some support aside from us.
I called the 1-800 number, the hotline, and spoke with an advocate. The first time I called and sort of expressed that I was just looking for a list of therapists because I thought maybe I just needed to go and talk to someone to sort out what to do with what had happened. And I ended up actually calling back not too long after that, and arranging to go in and meet with someone one-on-one at a sexual assault center, which was very, very helpful.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to several occasions where I go into the hospital, the nurses do their examination, they come out, they have information they're able to share with me that's very important to the case. So all those relationships are very important. In the past, the relationships haven't been so good. It's taken a while to build them. And we're definitely reaping the rewards now. So really fostering those relationships, getting to know everyone involved so that you're comfortable picking that phone up and asking the questions and getting the answers that you need.
Some people are very leery about, letting go of control and, want to have the whole thing to themselves. But ultimately, there are people that are better at different parts of it, and letting those people do that part normally ends up helping produce a better result.
Everyone has to check their egos at the door. Doctors, lawyers, district attorneys, law enforcement officers, and they need to work as a team, and not be, I'm the lead investigator here, because it's going to be something someone did is going to make a difference, and it might not even be you, but whatever a doctor might have said to that person, a nurse, the victim's advocate, it just makes a difference.
They were there with me. I had to go into the courtroom. I had to testify in front of the judge. I had to answer questions, and they were there with me throughout that process, and that was very, very helpful because I don't know if I would have followed through with the piece of paper had I not had those advocates with me.
I mean, we do the investigations, but the DA's office prosecutes. The victim advocates help and support these victims through the process. And so together, as part of our multidisciplinary teams that we work in, I think we do a very good job at that. But we have to recognize that we play a very small part in the overall process.